Hello everyone, this is Naman and today we will study class 9th chapter number 1. The name of the chapter is the French Revolution. In the earlier classes you have studied about the ancient history, medieval history and the modern history, and now in class 9 we will study about world history including history of French Revolution, Russian Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. And we will be able to study about its impact all over the world, how it created the influence all over the world, and how also Indian philosophers got the idea of the different things just like legislative, executive and judiciary. This idea also came from the French Revolution to India. We will also study about it. Before starting the chapter, let me tell you one thing. As per the CBSE curriculum, multiple choice questions have been introduced. So be very careful while studying the chapter and also remember the important dates of events. When they happened, how they happened, where they happened. This must be clear to you. Every point. To learn these important points and dates, there is a trick that you should follow. You should write all the important dates of events including the description in the ascending order and go through them daily. When you will see it on the daily basis, you will be able to recognize and learn the important dates. It's quite useful to you. In this chapter, we will discuss about the reasons of French Revolution and the outcome of French Revolution and its influence all over the world. The main reason for the French Revolution was social, economical and political disorder. Write it down. What was the reasons for French Revolution was social, economical and political disorders including aristocracy of king, empty treasury, no political equality, extravagant court and long wars. About this we will discuss further on in this video only. So let's start. As you can see the date over here, that is 14 July 1789 is the very important date in the French Revolution. This was the date when the Bastille was broken. What was Bastille? The correct pronunciation is Bastille. Bastille was the prison of France, or you can say it as a jail. It was a jail in France before it was a palace. So question arises, why people stormed Bastille? Why the people broke the jail? The reason behind that was as the prices was high of essential products in France and still citizens weren't getting the bread. Their main or staple diet was bread. This was the date 14 July 1789. So there was some indiscipline in the city. So king sent its soldiers to check indiscipline of the city. At the same time, rumors spread king is sending soldiers to kill the common people. It was their presumption only, but the people thought that the king has sent the soldiers to kill them. So they thought to make their own people militia. What is their people militia? People militia is People's Army. They formed that and they thought that they will fight against the soldier of kings, and for that the ammunition will be required. For they formed the People Army as I told you and gathered near the town hall, and some around 7,000 people gathered and they just moved towards the eastern part of Paris and stormed the government buildings including the Bastille, where they supposed to find the hoarded ammunitions, and they destroyed the whole prison because it was considered as the despotic power of king. Now, and the stone of that prison was also sold in the market. At the same time, they demolished the Bastille and all the stones of that was sold in the market, and people purchased them and kept as those stones as souvenirs. This was the main incident of French Revolution and after that we will start the chapter. This was the main incident. This was some flashback, you can say. This was the flashback, and now let's start the chapter. This is the chapter first topic. The first topic is French society during the late 18th century. In 1774, Louis XVI became the king. In 1774, Louis XVI became the king of the Bourbon family. Bourbon is also a biscuit that's coming in your mind, because the biscuit also got its name from the royal family only. Ascended the throne of France, he was 20 years old and married to the Austrian princess Marie Antoinette. He married to the Austrian princess. So don't get confused with this Austrian. Okay, so these are the two countries, that is Austria is in Europe and there is another is Australia, that is Australia. It's also a continent and also a country, that is Australia. So don't get confused. So he married to the daughter of a Austrian king. The name of the daughter was Marie Antoinette. She was the bad advisor to the king. Whenever she gave the advice to the king, something wrong absolutely happened. As the Louis XVI became the king in 1774, he found the royal treasury empty. Why he found the royal treasury empty? France was a big kingdom and they did not have any money. So it was a big question. France was involved in the war from the long time, due to which it had a adverse effect on their resources, along with the cost of maintaining the palace was too high. The king and queen used to spend most of the money on the luxurious things. They used to live the extraordinary royal life and they used to live in the palace of Versailles. The France and Britain were the big enemies at the time. Britain had occupied 13 American colonies of America and France helped America to get independence from the Britain. So the France lost much money in those wars, and this was only done by France only to humiliate Britain. And the result was that France's debt rose to more than 2 billion livres. What was livres? Livres was the currency of France at that time, and the lenders from where the Louis XVI rose the money, or you can say the royal family rose the money, they started charging 10% interest, and due to that most of the budget was spent on paying these interests. So to meet the regular expenses such as cost of maintaining the army, cost to maintain the courts, cost to maintain the universities, Louis XVI thought they could increase the taxes. If they will be able to increase the taxes, they will be able to meet the expenses. So it was a problem. So he thought to increase the taxes. That increasing taxes was not so easy. Firstly, understand that as in India, the society was divided into the Varna Vyavastha, the Varna system, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. As that in France, the society was divided into 3 estates. The 3 estates were clergy, nobility and the 3rd estate. Clergy was the person, just like in India we have the Brahmans, they had the fathers of church, so they was considered in clergy group. Nobility, all the ministers of king and big landlords was considered in nobles. And the people of 3rd estate includes the people just like businessman, merchant, lawyer, teacher, artisans, etc. So what was the problem? The problem was these 2 estates, 1st and 2nd estate, clergy and nobility, not have to pay taxes. Only the 3rd estate will have to bear all the taxes. All the direct and indirect taxes were to bear by 3rd estate. So this was the problem of France. And the 60% of the land, 60% of the land was also owned by the nobles and the clergy group. This was also the problem. The church extracted the taxes from the people of 3rd estate, from the farmers, that was Distt. This was a tax which was levied by church on 1/10 of agriculture produce. 1/10 of agriculture produce, just suppose your production was 1000 kg, so out of that the 10% should be given to church. So that tax was called as tithes. Now the next tax was tele. Taxes to be paid directly to state. This was a tax which is to be paid directly to state. So till here we have discussed about how the Louis XVI became the king and how he was having the debt of 2 billion livres, and you know the reason now why the France was having the 2 billion livres debt, because the France was involved in the war with America. I have also told you the French society was divided into three estate. What was three estate? Clergy, nobility, and third estate. Only the third estate has to bear the taxes. I have also told you, and there are two type of taxes. I have also told you, that was tithe and tele, which is to be paid directly to state, that was tele, and which was that 1/10 of agriculture produce was tithe. We have discussed about that, so it must be clear to you all till here, and we will meet in further video. Thank you. Bye bye.